All right. Who's ready to talk about arrests? So I know this is one of the things you guys have been waiting for the most. This is one of the biggest. So one of the biggest criticisms I keep seeing as I do this show. You guys know I love President Trump. I trust President Trump. I believe in what he's doing to make America great again, America first, breaking global power structures, and bringing back our American financial system and dominance. I believe all that. But one of the biggest criticisms is always, where's the arrests? I want more arrests. We need arrests. Nothing's happening. And I got to tell you, it got annoying because there was plenty happening. But now we're finally starting to see the kind of action that everybody who just wants big names wants, or front page action. So it's a huge win today for all of that. And this is not the only thing that happened. But number one, James Comey was now indicted by a grand jury for his 8647 post from last year. I should say 8647 from last year, days after another assassination attempt on President Trump. Much deserved. I don't need to play this, but James Comey, he's been indicted before. He weaseled out of it, and then we got him again. Now, this is going to be a tough one, but I believe the DOJ has been planning for this, and it's sending a message. It's sending a message that you can't do anything, no matter who you are, that is fomenting violence anymore. We're not going to stand for it. And it's more than a free speech issue, because we've always, as much as I support free speech, our First Amendment, we have always gone after people instigating violence. That's just not what we call protected speech. And it's the one exception, and it's frankly the one exception I'm okay with. And one of these that has been one of the big ones is you can't call to kill the president. And so 8647 is pretty clear. So they're going after him. Now, this might not hold up in a court, but as somebody else said, sometimes the process is the punishment. And if they don't have Comey dead to rights, they're just going to keep bringing him back over and over again until they finally nab him. But this is a great sign one way or the other. Because one way or the other, guys, Comey is going to be miserable for a while here. Okay? It's going to be miserable for a while. This is going to, and again, this shows like we're not. I mean, this guy's a former director of the FBI. I know it's not one of the names a lot of people want. I mean, people are like, it always comes back to Obama, Clinton, Bill Gates. It's like those are the three names everybody always throws out. I get it. Okay, it'd be great to see those. But don't act as if this isn't a big deal. Former FBI director is a huge deal. Just like John Brennan is a huge deal. So that's another one we want. But Todd Blanche calling it out. And this is, listen to his description. He's pretty serious, and I don't know. I think they might actually pull this off.
That shows that Mr. Comey intended for President Trump to be harmed. And then secondarily, for critics who say, where does free speech...
I don't know what critics say that, especially today, but it's not a very difficult line to look at, and it's not, in my mind, a difficult line for one to cross over one way or the other. You are not allowed to threaten the President of the United States of America. That's not my decision. That's Congress's decision in a statute that they passed that we charge multiple times a year. And so whether there is a defense, as you just described, Maybe there is, but the government will have evidence. I am not going to talk about the evidence that we have. That's unfair to him. It's unfair to the prosecutors, but it's enough to say that the grand jury returned an indictment. I'm just
I'm collecting my thoughts here. I was going to say something, and I think I'm going to hold back on it for a bit here. But think about what this means. Okay, this isn't just about putting Comey on blast. This isn't just about catching Comey. This is also being able to gather evidence. Maybe go through his phone. Maybe go through his phone records, his computer. I mean, this is the kind of thing where more can come out. And I guarantee you, as usual, there's more to the plan than is on the surface here as Blanche goes through this. By the way, for those who doubted Blanche, I just get to, I feel like I'm already getting to say I told you so, especially as things ramp up. But, listen, again, I'm just not going to, I'm going to repeat it till I'm blue in the face over and over again. If you trust Trump and Trump's decisions, you're going to be right 99% of the time. And this is another example of that. Yeah, Blanche was a Democrat in the past. So was RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard. And I don't hear anybody on the America First MAGA side complaining about those two. All right. It's like, that doesn't mean anything. Do you understand? Democrat is just a word now. People who stay on the Democrat side, okay, if they're still there, that means something. But those who left, it's Democrats 10, 15, 20 years ago, a whole bunch of them, they are not the Democrats of today. It's not the same thing. There were people who I grew up in California. I was surrounded by Democrats in the 90s, early 2000s. A lot of them were absolute patriots. We just disagreed on the size of the government and what it should be doing, basically. So that's old school Democrats. A lot of these people are that, and they saw what was happening, and they're like, Trump is the only way. Trump was a Democrat. My God. So just because somebody was a Democrat at one point does not mean they're not trustworthy. And this is so far, I know it's early. Okay. Maybe I'll be wrong. So far, this is happening exactly as I predicted, which was Bondi go out and now unleash the wolves. Okay. And that was all planned. It was pretty clear. Blanche announces 1 week or 2 weeks before Bondi's out that, hey, the DOJ is now fixed and up and running. We're fully staffed again. In other words, the purge is complete. Bondi is then removed or stepped down or however it went down. We'll find out. But then Blanche was put in. And a lot of people were like, oh, no, he's a Democrat. This guy's been undercutting Bondi the whole time. That is one of the psyops that's been going on. That Todd Blanche was actually the reason nothing was getting done at the DOJ. He was holding everything up. But now they've elevated him. By the way, he didn't have to be confirmed. So he gets to win this job. They elevate him. He just gets to be put in place. And now it's on. And it's not just Comey. Check it out. So this is a great post on this. But Fast and Furious. First arrest has arrived. James Comey is being indicted for threatening POTUS. This reveals at least 3 very important things. I totally agree with this. The top tiers of the DOJ have been cleared of Clinton, Obama, Biden loyalists. Otherwise, any intended charges against Comey would have been dismissed before they were brought to fruition. Fact check, true. Top tiers of the FBI have been cleared of Clinton, Obama, Biden loyalists. Otherwise, they would have prevented their former swamp-serving director from being indicted. Fact check, I believe that's true. And they would have ensured any evidence or witnesses against him would have disappeared. By the way, if you doubt this one, just wait till you see the clips I play of Dan Bongino later on his interview with Handy. The federal courts benches have been cleared of Obama, Clinton, Biden loyalists. This one I don't agree with as much, but he still has an interesting point. At least to the point justice can now be sought and achieved without having to deal with seditious, politically motivated judges. Otherwise, arresting Comey would have been pointless. Swamp judges would have ensured charges against Comey were thrown out, or he'd be immediately exonerated. There's hope for America's future, which I definitely agree with. And alongside justice we've all been waiting for is finally here. This is an interesting point. We're going to see how if they start getting actual cases tried in DC or in the Virginia area and we start getting fair judges, then this will be proven true. I haven't seen it yet, but he does have a point that why would they start going for it like this if they haven't dealt with some of this? So we're going to see. We're going to see. But look at this. Department of Justice leaves open going after Gretchen Whitmer. Listen to Blanche on this one.
Thank you, sir. Mary Margaret with the Daily Wire. Should we expect more indictments of this sort? For example, in 2020, Gretchen Whitmer did a TV hit with 8645 on her desk in the background. Is that the kind of thing you would pursue? And then just really quickly, should Comey expect to face more charges for his role in the Russia collusion investigations?
I'm not going to comment on other investigations involving Mr. Comey. He was indicted in the Eastern District of Virginia. That was dismissed on procedural grounds because of the judge's finding regarding the U.S. attorney. So that case is under appeal. As far as other investigations that are happening, it would not be appropriate or fair for me to comment on that time. As far as other incidents of threats against the President of the United States, those will be investigated.
Thank you, sir.
Those will be investigated. We've seen a lot of them. Here's when Whitmer put it out in 2020. It's 8647 right there. But we'll see. I mean, that's pretty small. You know, it might not be enough. But the point is, after the assassination attempt, they're making a statement. You come out and say this stuff, we'll make your life miserable, which is good. We want that. We do. I'm sorry. That is justice. It's not just playing a game. It's not just randomly as taking out people. You know, it's not picking up people praying at abortion clinics like the Biden administration did. No, this is much different. This is actually enforcing the law, something we haven't done in this country for a very long time, and people have learned there's no consequences. So introducing consequences again will start changing the national discourse, and it'll start making people shape up. So this is the beginning. Now look, this is continuing. This is directly from the DOJ, which is Todd Blanche. Former senior NIAID official indicted for concealing federal records during COVID-19 pandemic. These allegations represent profound abuse of trust at a time when the American people need it most during the height of a global pandemic, said Todd Blanche is alleging the indictment. Dr. Morens and his co-conspirators deliberately concealed information, falsified records, and attempt to suppress alternative theories regarding the origins of COVID-19. Government officials have a solemn duty to provide honest, well-grounded facts and advice in service of the public interest, not to advance their own personal or ideological agendas. Listen, if this isn't the setup to move up to Fauci, I don't know what is. I don't. Like, what? How much more obvious can you be? This guy was Fauci's assistant, and it says, and co-conspirators. You think Fauci wasn't a part of this? It's happening, guys. We're starting. The ball is starting to roll. It's starting to roll. And you start at the smaller ones. You don't go after the big dog first because you want to build the case, because getting the big dog and making absolutely sure you can nail him down, that sends the bigger message. Because when you can take out the big dogs, everybody pays attention. So this is the beginning of working the way up. And we can no longer say, oh, no arrests. This is indictments lead to arrests. This is what it's all about. So Kash Patel himself writes, weaponization of the USG by its senior members in a time of global pandemic entrusted to protect us. They violated that trust in the law, destroyed records public had every right to see. They covered up and got caught by the FBI and the Justice Department. That psyop against Kash makes more sense every day, doesn't it? More and more sense every day. Why they tried to take out Kash. Hey, Alex Jones, where are you? Oh, Kash Patel, my man, Kevin Serafin, he's on tonight, and he's telling me Kash Patel is going to be arrested, or going to be laid off tonight. He will be gone, just like Pam Bondi, tonight. This is April 2nd, and I've been wrong now for 4 weeks. This is, again, if you're still watching Alex Jones, what's wrong with you? Unless you're watching it for the entertainment value and maybe to share in a drinking game with him, which he's always going to beat you. But it keeps going. It keeps going. Look at this. FBI and HSI agents are currently raiding 22 locations in Minneapolis, Minnesota area in relation to ongoing federal fraud investigations, largely Somali-linked businesses, including the infamous Quality Learning Center. All of this is today. Comey, COVID guys, fraudsters in Minnesota, the FBI involved in all of it. Kash Patel, Todd Blanche are just doing the work now. I don't think it's any coincidence all in one day. This is a message, and it's all happening while the king's here. Are you kidding me? You can't make this stuff up. And look at this. The SPLC disclosed today that its former informant, a member of National Alliance and worked for SPLC for 20 years, has now flipped and is a witness for the DOJ. Oh, that's interesting. Getting the informants in and they're turning. SPLC is screwed. This is what losers do. Accusing this informant of being biased. Reasons are redacted. Wow. SPLC, I think, was the bomb that told us it's starting. Last week, SPLC just shook DC to its core. I know it wasn't a big enough name, big enough news for the average person to catch on, but for those paying attention, you could tell that was like dropping a nuclear bomb at the beginning of the fight for justice. That was the storming Normandy and just being like, we're here now. We're here. Get ready, as this is all starting to accumulate. DOJ suing Cloudera for rigging high-paying tech jobs against American workers. We're just knocking out all these leftists, all these woke companies, all these fraudulent areas where they're money laundering. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. They created a fake internal email that bounced every U.S. applicant's resume, then claimed no qualified Americans applied to fast-track foreign visa holders for green cards. Just another part of the scam to get more foreigners here and replace Americans. The great replacement theory. Harmy Dillon, man, what a stud she is. She's incredible. If Todd doesn't get nominated or get confirmed to stay on as AG, I hope they move her up. She's unbelievable. This is just great stuff. Now, so all this going on now, let's just listen to Dan Bongino did an excellent interview with Sean Hannity, and I found some of the best clips. And I want you guys to listen, because he really is going to break down why. At least one of the main reasons it's taken so long to get this momentum going. And I got to say that it's exactly what we've been saying on this show. It's exactly the fact that we had to wait for it all to be cleared up. But here's Bongino talking about 2 FBIs when he got there.
There were 2 FBIs trying to help you solve the A, B, and C problems, and that's FBI 1 and FBI 2. Like, there's 2 FBI? Yes, there were 2 FBIs. There was the FBI of, like, bust your ass, VCAC agents, violent crimes against children, white-collar agents, violent crime fugitive task force. And some of these guys, I was just honored to be in the room. They were like, we have this TFO, task force officer down in Miami. This guy, his first name is Joe, I won't say his last name. This guy's been on the job 38 years. You know how many violent criminals are off the street because of this guy and the agents he works with? I mean, he's a TFO, but the agents were like that too. And then you had this other FBI, which was populated with, to say, unfortunately, snakes as being nice. And here's the problem, Sean. It wasn't always obvious which FBI they were in. So you're trying to solve like a level A problem, which has like no solution. There's a shitty solution and a shittier one. And I got to tell you, it's almost like a coin toss, because either way, someone's going to get hurt. Okay. And you're trying to figure this out and you're asking someone for advice. You've only been there a couple weeks and you don't know if that person is part of the good FBI or the bad FBI.
That's a crazy story. Think about that. Legitimately, the FBI was two institutions. And this is why, there was a lot of talk going in that Kash just needs to burn the entire FBI to the ground, get rid of the entire FBI. Well, now we're seeing how effective the FBI is when it's got good people in it and it's being run the right way. So that was another psyop to get us to go full anarchist, full libertarian, and actually hurt ourselves. And when you think about it, the whole idea of get in there and just clear it out and destroy the FBI, that was I mean, that's a way they avoid justice. And that's a way they all get off scot-free, because the FBI is being shown to be what it always was meant to be, the chief federal law investigation unit and arresters of our nation. And yes, it can be used for evil. We've seen that. But again, looking forward, with the internet the way it is, with, because once this freedom spreads and it becomes more and more, we become more decentralized as people, because crypto is making that more possible for us with finances. The internet's making it more possible for us with business. It's just like we are becoming freer as we fight back against the government. And once we have somebody like Trump, and I believe JD Vance or Rubio after him, we get several years of the government being scaled back. Good luck encroaching it again, because it's going to get harder and harder. Look what happened after Trump's first term, which he didn't get nearly as much accomplished first term because he was fighting the Republican Party as well so much. But in the first term, Trump still undid almost the entire Obama agenda, which is huge. And when Biden got in, they couldn't get it forward. And then even with what they tried to do, it was so despicable that the country turned against it and brought Trump back in a wave. So it's harder and harder the further we get away from the old system for them to get their grips back in. And so we're rebuilding our institutions. Instead of dismantling them completely, we're fixing them. And I think that's going to be just better and better going forward. And I'm not a big government guy, but I also understand that there is a role for it. I'm not a libertarian. I believe, government can be used for good, but it needs to be limited. Very limited. And right now we're starting to see that. But also, we're currently in wartime because we're fighting back this system and ideologies that literally were going to destroy our country. So just like Lincoln, there's some exceptions I'll make for Trump that I might not make for another president in the future, if that makes sense. Because Lincoln did all kinds of stuff that would be called unconstitutional, suspending habeas corpus, imprisoning journalists, stuff like that. But in wartime, sometimes you gotta make the choices to fix the nation, to save the nation, just like the other side will make decisions to destroy the nation that are anti-constitutional. And sometimes you just got to know the season you're in. To save our country, sometimes you got to trust the leaders that we have. Here's more from the Bongino. I think I got two more clips I want to play that are just really interesting.
But listen, I will never be the same, and I'm being as serious as a stroke right now. Look, I'm scared, man. Like I know what I did. And I'm proud of my work, and I'm proud of what me and Kash accomplished in the past year, beyond proud. I know what we did. I know what's coming. I know what I started. I know what I laid out, and I know it's all, you saw a lot of these cases coming out over the past few days even. But don't think for a second that I don't think every day, and this is what's really sad, and this is why I know, and I never thought this after reading that enough Friday night, that they're going to come for me. And listen, man, it's not a sob story. I knew what I was getting into. But it happened to the president, and he went through just the worst just destruction of his civil liberties I've ever seen. But I say to my wife all the time, I know, Sean, I can look you in the face as a friend, tell you and your millions of viewers and listeners, I promise you everything I did with a dotted I and a crossed T. I brought in my own attorney from the outside person.
It's pretty crazy just hearing him talk about how the fear of the impacts he did. But I want to end on this one. where he talks about the changes they made and what he believes is going to happen as a result going forward.
We have made enough dramatic changes. We put a ton of new FISA rules in place. I mean, Kash and I were on FISA probably 3-4 times a week in special meetings just for that. I brought in a lawyer just for FISA to go over that stuff. We put in new guardrails, new penalties. We reorganized the place so that intel was more manageable and you couldn't like hide pockets of intel. You're not going to be able to hide the PP tape now. They're going to have to change what we did, which is going to create a paper trail that I'm warning them, like when they say it changes back to us again, we're going to find again. So good luck. I'm not telling you they're not going to do it. Obviously, I'm worried about it. But I'm just telling you, we did a massive amount of change. And I think you're going to see, and I said it on my show, so I feel free telling you how, we're not done. I mean, that Comey indictment, if you think that was the end, like you're out of your mind. We have made enough.
If you think that's the end, you're out of your mind. I love that. I love that. And this is the beginning. And again, Bongino, I mean, is very open. And I appreciate it because this is what it looked like when he was leaving in January, that he did a year and he was just there to help fix things up, to help Kash reform it. And now we're seeing the results. And it's pretty incredible. I got to admit, I mean, when you look at murder being down 20% year over year, overall crime in America, the lowest in 100+ years, they've been doing incredible stuff. And now we're starting to see some of the bigger names go down. And I think it's all lining up for this. Now, this is excellent post from Brian Cates. So I want to just go through this real quick. Says, who's been telling you for several months a grand conspiracy investigation going public now with the admission of grand juries in Fort Pierce, Florida involves. So this is everything involved in this grand conspiracy investigation that he's uncovered. Uranium One, Clinton email scandal, DNC email scandal, murder Seth Rich, fake CrowdStrike report to blame Russia, manufacture of Russiagate, hoax-based criminal counterintelligence investigations of Trump, hoax-based Ukraine impeachment, launch of COVID pandemic to get them to 20 million fake mail-in ballots, fake mail-in ballot scheme and other election frauds in 2020, massively coordinated censorship campaigns to prevent discussion of COVID, Hunter laptop, stolen election, J6, massively coordinated targeting of Trump and J6 people for sustained illegally predicated lawfare and prosecution, several assassination attempts, auto-pen presidency of Joe Biden or whoever that was, complete with fake pardons, fake appointments, executive actions, massively coordinated assault on the country by completely reopening the border, raiding Trump's home to seize classified documents while claiming they've been reclassified. I'll keep going. I'll stop there. The scope of it. When you realize most of the key players running the grand conspiracy are not American, they don't live here. City of London. Many of the elements of the grand conspiracy are therefore acts of war. That changes the game, by the way, because that means you can bring in the military tribunals. Any American willingly taking money to carry out the different elements of grand conspiracy against their fellow citizens of the country are therefore engaging in treason and acts of treason. This may start with federal grand juries. It won't stay there. I don't know how far we'll go on this, but I can tell you one way or the other, stuff's going to come out. And again, I don't think anybody's going to escape justice. But prepare yourselves because in some instances it might look a little bit different than what you expect. Some people just might completely lose their wealth. Others might be put on house arrest and they just kind of disappear. You don't know what it'll look like in every situation, but this is the kind of deal where, and what we're seeing with these arrests and how it's starting to ramp up and what Tulsi's been unleashing for the last year, she's been declassifying, and Trump is desire to make all this happen. Remember, he's doing this amidst the fact that judges are fighting against him. His own Senate won't get things passed. Many of the Republicans are still against him on the inside. He's doing with all that. So it's a little slow sometimes. But with his resolve, once City of London is broken, or at least severely weakened because of Iran, when all these people are no longer getting paid by City of London, the resources dry up, their ability to protect each other dries up, you better believe there's going to be a lot of them turning on each other. The fact this is all ramping up now is not coincidental, friends. As Iran is being choked out, as the strait is blocked off, and Trump has decided this is working so well, I'm going to stay here. Europe is on the verge of collapse because of their energy is spiking like crazy, and they're no longer getting they're not getting as many exports from China. China's being weakened. I mean, there's a lot of issues going on in Europe right now. They are getting severely weakened. And that's where all this ties into. Between that, some of them are China, but most of it's City of London. I got to tell you that the fact that all that's happening abroad because of Iran and what Trump's doing with the strait, all that weakness is starting to spread. And now, as that weakness, right as it's really settling in and Iran is really getting crippled, that's when Trump decides to have this DOJ just start going ham and getting all this stuff out there. That's not coincidence, folks. That's putting on a full court press and striking them when they're weaker and they don't have much defense against it. That's what we want to see. And it's going to be very interesting going forward how that turns out. And I just saw this graphic today. I had to show you guys. But look at the Clinton Foundation, how it dropped off after she lost the election. They never thought she'd lose. And now they're facing judgment for all this. You better believe they're freaking out. They're freaking out over Comey. They're freaking out over the COVID stuff. They're really freaking out over SPLC. This is, they can see the walls are closing in on them. And Kash Patel, if you guys remember this clip from the other day, I'm going to play it again just to remind you what Kash saying what's coming.
I lived through it, and the media came at me then, too. That just shows you that when you're over the target, you keep pummeling the target because the media is going to try and pummel you. We are not going to take this and have not taken this laying down. We did already indict former Director Comey, and that's going through the judicial process. But we also, at this FBI, even though we uncovered what we uncovered back in the House Intel days, I had to come in here and find rooms that they hid from the world. I had to come in here and find access on our computer systems in restricted and prohibited case files that they purposely put in places for no one to see and find. We have found all this information. We are working with our Department of Justice partners, and I am never going to let this go because they not only have personally attacked the presidency of the United States and President Trump, but they tried to thwart our elections and rig the entire system. And that is not something that is going to stop. That is not something I'm going to allow on my watch. Right. But you just have to remember, they built this disease temple over 20 and 30 years. We've got all the evidence. I can announce on your show that we've got all the information we need. We're working with our prosecutors at the Department of Justice and their Attorney General Todd Blanche, and we are going to be making arrests. And it's coming, and I promise you, it's coming soon.
Well, Kash, hold on, because
I promise you it's coming soon. Promise you there's going to be arrests. So all of you guys who are waiting, aren't you glad I told you to be patient? Because it's happening. We're just in the beginning of it. But today, if nothing else, should give you a lot of confidence that you can actually finally trust that these guys are going to get it done. This summer is going to be spicy. Happy 250th birthday, America.